Good evening, everybody. Happy Tuesday. Welcome in to the Big Man on Campus Sports Betting Podcast and live stream. I'm your host, the Big Man on Campus. Hope you're having a great Tuesday as we are off the national title game, which was interesting last night. We'll recap that a little bit, get into the Tuesday card here. I'll go over a couple MLB games. Greg Peterson will join us at around 5:15, 5:20. I hope you're having a great Tuesday. It's April 9th, 2019. A lot going on today. We'll get to all of it and more. Welcome into everyone out there checking out the show. Make sure you hit the like button and join us here today. We'll go over, as I said, some baseball, maybe a little NFL draft. I'm actually through my first round. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw those out there. We got the Masters preview. That'll be out tonight. I got my golf guy joining us. He'll be going over some great golf plays. We'll give out all sorts of missed the cuts, top tens, and our winners. So make sure you join us for that. You can join and see every show on this channel by subscribing to the channel just by hitting that big old subscribe button so you never miss a show. Why are people complaining about the NCAA start time for the game? Duke, North Carolina would have gotten way bigger ratings. People were complaining because the game started at 9:20 and there was no legitimate reason for it. You had two East Coast teams, one Midwest and one East Coast team. I really didn't have any reason to start at that time. You start the game at 8:20, it would have been totally fine. West Coast 5:30, it would have been perfect. You have kids that want to watch the game. I'm usually not I don't really care much. Look, to me, I didn't personally care. I would have watched it at 11 o'clock p.m. if it would have started. It wouldn't matter to me. We have to look at different big events and kind of use, I think, a common start time. 7's a bit too early. I think 8:20 would have been a fine time to start. You look at any kind of NFL games, the Sunday night games, that kind of stuff. They get great ratings and they're on at 8 o'clock. Here's the thing about these games: if you want to watch them, you'll watch them. The fact that we weren't competing with anything last night. There was no NBA on. The NHL season is in flux between the season and the playoffs. There was nothing going on last night. The game should have been on at 8:20. You started now. What did they do from 7:30 till 9:30? It was just talking about the same shit over and over. You have a half an hour pregame show. You go into the game, and that's that. It's very simple. It's not difficult. That's why they were complaining. There's a lot of people that complain about everything. If you started at 8:20, you'd have to, deal with people in the West Coast that, have an issue with it or whatever. So, again, I didn't really care either way. Kevin Berg, thanks for watching. Jay Hay, get on a stream with Lockdown 23-1. I would love to. I'm a big fan of Death, actually. I really like the channel. I am fascinated by his stories. And not only him, but Big Herc. I would love to get them on my show. I've actually contacted both of them. One of them, Death, I don't really know how to get in touch with him, but I'm working on something, trying to get them on. I would love to collaborate with those guys. I can't say I've dealt with those stories, but in my personal life, people that are close to me, people that are like blood to me, are incarcerated and have been for some time. I've been to prisons. I've been to them. Again, I would just love to hear some stories. I think it'd be fascinating. And that's something I'm going to get into as we get into the summer months. I would be great if you could, Jay. Get me in touch. Again, we're kind of the total opposite, but I'd really like to open this channel up a little bit more to just kind of cool, things and stuff like that. So, I would love to. That's always something I'd love to do. And, I'd like to talk with him more about maybe the gambling aspect in prison and that kind of stuff. If you could do that, that'd be terrific. I'd love to chat with those guys. Get in touch with me on Twitter. Maybe we can chat. Ron Fig, how you doing? Mitchell Chagas. If you're in the chat, if you're just out there listening, come say hello. As I said, Greg Peterson will join us in just a little bit. We'll go over some baseball for tonight. Get yourself a couple of plays. Later in the week, Ski Profit will join us. I believe he's going to join us tomorrow night. We're going to go over some basketball, some NBA. So make sure you join in for those shows as well. Ski Profit, one of my favorite young handicappers. Hey, what's going on with this my bookie explosion? Are any of these rumors true? Yeah, I actually just saw that before I got on the air here, and I was going to discuss it. As many of you know, I've my bookie's been not a sponsor, but I've kind of partnered with them to promote them. We have to remember, just want to make this very clear. A lot of people promote my bookie. It's not just me. Clay Travis promotes my bookie. Pat McAfee. All sorts of people promote my bookie. Whether you're a handicapper, or just a podcast, or whatever. Here's the thing. I've had no issues with them. Again, all I could do is worry about myself. I love Dave Portnoy. He's one of my, he slowly kind of turned into one of my not mentors, but someone I look up to. I appreciate and respect his candor and his ability to build something from nothing. I think it's phenomenal. I have nothing to do with that situation. It has nothing to do with me. I can only talk about from what I've dealt with. My bookie contacted me a few months ago about working with them. I've had nothing but good things to say about them, and they've always been good to me, whether it's their customer service, whether it's their affiliate people or whatever. It's always been good to me. So I have nothing bad to say about them. It's not it's no business of mine. What those guys are fighting about, that's really up to them. It has nothing to do with me. What else do we have here? Jadakiss and Michael Rappaport. What about them? Are you an Ole Miss fan? No, I'm not I'm not an Ole Miss fan. I guess I just like the color. If you watch my shows, Barry, you've probably can notice I wear all sorts of different team shirts. Some of them I'm a fan of, and some I just like. I will say over the years, I am quite fond of Ole Miss football. I do like some players that have went through there, and I'm a big DK Metcalf guy. So I like Chad Kelly. I was a big fan of their offense several years ago. I also, if you know me, I loved Shea Patterson. So I don't have anything bad to say about. I don't have anything bad to say about them. All right, guys, a quick recap here of the tournament. As far as the game last night, I thought it was a great game. I thought there were some things that I did want to go over. I thought the refs were poor. I'm not blaming the refs, but I do think there were some big missed calls, including Guy, the trip in the corner. There was no trip. In fact, I thought he was tripped by his own player. I thought the foul on Moretti, which wasn't called, was a little irritating. They ended up switching the call and it going back to Virginia. There was a foul right before the ball going out of bounds. Wasn't called from behind. Owens ended up being a major liability, which ended up hurting them. Tariq Owens was just wasn't very good. Defensively, he couldn't close out on anybody. He was slow. He couldn't really do much of anything, and I thought he hurt them. Defensively, he had a problem. He didn't offer them much of anything on really anything offensively. I thought Mooney was terrible on defense. He was just getting blown by every single time. He really looked hampered. I don't know what was going on with Matt Mooney last night. And you look at 11 offensive rebounds. That was really Virginia's key to winning this tournament. They were – fantastic on the glass. I think they had like 60 offensive rebounds in this tournament. It was really, really impressive. Also, I will say this. The kick-out three to Hunter, I was blown away at how they just collapsed the paint. Okay, no offense to Texas Tech, but you were up 3. Let them score. It doesn't matter. Get the ball to your free throw guys, Moretti, Culver. You played a free throw game. You can't give up a wide open 3 in the corner. You just can't do it. It was bad defense and it was bad coaching. I love Beard, but I didn't like that. I hated it. I hated that. Just let him score. It's just 1-point game with 12 seconds left. Make your free throws and play the game. It's better than allowing a 3-point shot. Contest the shot, sure. Put him on the foul line. Do something. Don't give him a wide open 3. Didn't understand that. I wasn't a fan of it. Your closeouts of threes were terrible all game, I thought. And a lot of that was Owens. I mean, Owens was really hampered. But Texas Tech did what they had to do for the most part. I mean, you were up 10 with 9 to go, and you couldn't find a way to close it out. So, that's the issue. Cavs were very lucky in this tournament, and they played well when it mattered, and that's that simple. You also look at the fact that Kyler Edwards and Brandon Francis had 29 of the 77 points. I mean, Culver was MIA this entire tournament for the most part. He was 5 for 16 last night. Mooney, up until late in the game, wasn't good and was terrible on defense. Odiase gave you nothing offensively, and Owens gave you nothing offensively. So, I mean, it was really just one of those things, unfortunately. Sharagon, welcome in. Joseph, Chris, Allison, Melvin. Melvin's talking about, okay, those guys. Okay, I didn't know that. Well, there you go. Quick thoughts on Cronin to UCLA. I'm not really sure I understand that decision. I don't really understand much of anything that UCLA does, to be real frank with you. This is a guy that in 16 years of coaching, 13 with the same team, has only gotten past the round of 32 one time. It's just not good enough. I mean, you look at some of the great players he's had over the years there: Troy Copain, Gary Clark, Sean Kilpatrick, Lance Stevens. I mean, this is a guy that just isn't a very good coach. I mean, it's that simple. He's all bark, no bite. It's just what Chris or what Mick Cronin is. He's not a good offensive coach. And look, will he have a decent time recruiting out there? Probably. But to pay him $4 million a year is alarming, really alarming to me. Greg Peterson joins us. He'll join us on the show right now. Greg, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How about you, Jeff?
Good to talk to you, Greg. We're just talking quickly about the Mick Cronin hire, which I don't know about you, but I was a bit perplexed at that decision. I mean, unfortunately, everyone said no to them, and Mick Cronin was the last guy to get picked, basically. $4 million a year, not bad. You live in LA your whole life, but I mean, from a basketball standpoint, Mick Cronin in 16 seasons has only gotten past the round of 32 once. He's had a litany of NBA players, and I don't think he's a very good coach day to day. You have to be surprised at that move, right?
I am very surprised at UCLA, with a search that began literally in the calendar year of 2018. The best they could get is Mick Cronin. Now, Mick Cronin isn't a terrible coach. I'm not going to go out here and say that he's like going to turn this thing into a garbage can or anything like that. But to have this long of a search and to put all the resources that you have into this coaching search, to have the best that you can do be Mick Cronin, just absolutely unexcusable. It shows that UCLA just is not what it once was. The luster is off this program, and fans of UCLA, they just have to get used to it. This is not a program that is now one of the top in college basketball. They've taken a step down, and this clearly shows it.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. This is not the days of John Wooden and Bill Walton many years ago. This is a floundering program in a bad conference that has had major issues. Look, you look at the coaching. I mean, it's really led them to this point. I mean, Steve Alford was not a good coach, and they're really there because of bad decisions. But welcome into everyone listening. Thanks for joining us today. Obviously, Greg, I know about me. I know this is kind of a sad day. Last night was a sad night. Basketball ending is always tough for sure. We're definitely going to miss it. What do you think was the? Do you have a favorite memory of this tournament? Because there weren't that many great games, Greg. As far as there were no buzzer beaters. Do you have any?
I think just the Virginia run in general, because their games were the ones that were magical. That ended with that overtime game against Texas Tech, the Purdue Elite Eight game, how they extend that game to overtime. Kyle Guy getting fouled on the 3 in the Final Four against Auburn. Those are my best memories right there. While we didn't have the buzzer beaters or everything like that, Virginia, just the way that they were able to do it time and time again, that was a storybook that we saw unfold, not just last night, but throughout the past couple of weeks. For them to go from losing to the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and then get redemption and win it the very next year, that was just absolutely sensational.
Now, Greg, what did you end up with? About 7,000 plays? What was the final tally?
I think it was more like 11 to 12,000 plays. It was absolutely insane. Yeah, it was a lot. But we wound up plus 231 units for the year. Cannot hate on that.
Wow, it's a hell of a run. Great work, Greg. I ended up about 3 units on the season. So, look, it wasn't my run last year. I made about 45 units of profit betting 1 unit plays. But, year after year, you kind of build off things, and you just got to keep rolling to the next year. I think we're already turning the page to next year. Quickly, Greg, you look at next year, you got to figure Michigan State's going to be a team that will probably be your number 1 team. I tweeted it out last night. I mean, if you could somehow get Hunter and Jerome and all those guys to stay, Virginia would be the number 1 team, but that's not going to happen. Any thoughts on next year as we do the show on April 9th, the day after the national title?
Oh, yes. This is the day in which you fire in all your futures right there completely blindly, having absolutely no idea who's going to be in the draft or not. No, I'm kidding, of course. But with that said, I do think that Virginia is going to have a good year next year. Obviously, I think that DeAndre Hunter is out. I'm really curious to see what Ty Jerome and those guys do. But I do think that Virginia is going to be another good team. I saw over at Caesars, one of the shops out here in Vegas, they're actually listed as a favorite for next year at 5-1. Those were listed yesterday, so I thought that was intriguing. Kentucky is currently at 8-1. I think that Nate Sestina coming over from Bucknell is going to be a huge addition. But I think in general, the Pac-12 is going to be better. I'm noticing that Arizona right now has the number 1 recruiting class. Colorado has nearly everyone coming back, and they were white hot towards the end of Pac-12 play. I'm right now trying to see what happens with Matisse Thybulle and company because I believe that they're losing Jalen Noel. I don't remember correctly, but I thought he was a senior, so that's something that I'm in a little bit wait-and-see mode. And I do think that Dana Altman is just an incredible coach, so I think that there is going to be some value on Oregon.
Yeah, Thybulle gone, so that's definitely a hurt. But they're bringing in Quade Green, who was at Kentucky. He transfers out to Washington. You also look at coming in next year, Isaiah Stewart, the number 4 recruit in the country. So Mike Hopkins is going to have one hell of a team next year. I have my eye obviously on Arizona. That's a good point by you in the Pac-12. You look at Josh Green and Nico Mannion, the top shooting guard, and the second best point guard in the class. So yeah, look, Arizona's going to come right back. I'm sure Oregon will be back with some talent as well. You look at them bringing in C.J. Walker, the 24th ranked recruit. So you're going to bring Peyton Pritchard back. So the Pac-12 is going to be much better next year. That's something you definitely want to keep your eye on. You have to figure. I'm sure USC will bring. They have I think 2 top 20 recruits as well. So it's definitely a down year for that group, but I think coming into next year, it's going to be quite good. Greg, let's kind of turn the page just a bit. I do want to make and ask you one question. You mentioned Ty Jerome as far as from the NBA draft perspective. I thought he made a Dante DiVincenzo-like ascent into the top 20. I think he's basically turned into quite the player at the next level. I think he'll be I've used this comparison. I'm going to use it again. He reminds me a lot of Grievous Vasquez. I know Grievous Vasquez didn't have the greatest career in the world, but I think he is kind of a better version of Vasquez. I might be a bit high in saying he's a top 20 pick, but I think he's a guy that will be, if not top 25, late first round. I really like what I saw in him. Is there just one player, obviously that you saw that you think you can maybe make a difference? I think Brandon Clark's another guy that had a great tournament, a great season. If he decides to leave, I think he's a guy that I might have more interest in than Hachimura at this point.
I think that Carson Edwards obviously really helped him out with the tournament as well, because we all knew that he was such a feast or famine guy throughout the season at Purdue. But these NBA scouts, they're going to love what they most recently saw. And what they saw of him was in 2 of his last 3 games, he scored 40-plus points and very nearly leads Purdue to the Final Four. Virginia doesn't get that miracle at the end of regulation. So I feel like during the NCAA tournament, he really helped himself out. Brandon Clark, who you just mentioned as well, he was sensational in that game against Baylor. He really ascended himself. And then I do agree with you with Ty Jerome as well. Jared Culver, I feel like went from more of a lottery pick to probably being a guy that you look at more in the top 5 with the way that Texas Tech was able to have their run, and Kyle Guy as well. Kyle Guy being able to knock down those clutch free throws late, obviously helped, and then he had a good national championship game as well if he decides to leave.
I think it'll be a fascinating decision to see what Culver does. I think he'll leave. I definitely think that's probably the best idea for him. But you look at coming back next year. I mean, they have a top shooting guard coming in. Davide Moretti will be a terrific point guard. You already have Edwards there, a sharpshooter. I mean, Culver, if he stays, he is, likely one of the better players in the country. You got Beard still there. It'll be interesting. It's doubtful that he'll stay, obviously, but kind of just going over some of these to see if they will is interesting. But let's turn the page, Greg, and kind of end the college hoops talk. It's definitely sad, but we have to do it. A couple of MLB games tonight. Miami, Cincinnati getting going at 6:40. Castillo against Urania. Urania getting a big price here. Obviously, Cincinnati has struggled out of the gate, Greg. 1-8 on the season. Really, the issue for Cincinnati has been scoring runs. I mean, this team is dead last in the major leagues and runs scored, only about under 2.5 runs a game. It's really been an ugly season so far. I think they have 1 or 2 players hitting above 250, only hitting 170 as a team. You look at Miami, not much better at 235. Urania didn't pitch well in his first 2 outings. He's got an ERA above 10, and he wasn't a particularly great pitcher on the road. Castillo laying a big number here, Greg, but you have to figure, I mean, with Urania's ability, I think it's there. Why are Cincinnati laying such a big number here? I didn't quite understand that.
And something I've noticed is ever since last year, the Sharps just love Luis Castillo. I mean, love him. I was in the Vegas Stats and Information Network studios every weekend. Luis Castillo seemed to be pitching every weekend. We would always notice it's like, and the Reds have went from -120 to -150 in the matter of hours because Sharps are steaming up Luis Castillo, and Sharps just always died on the sword of Luis Castillo. I do think that he's a good pitcher, and this is one in which I take a look at it Underwood, just because you mentioned both these teams. They're not hitting very well. Jose Alfaro has been able to hit a couple dingers for the Miami Marlins. Curtis Granderson gives you a little bit of something up top, but JT Brittle, ever since he hit those 2 home runs, has really went ice cold for them. And you mentioned it with the Cincinnati Reds. Diedrich was able to hit a couple dingers, but in the process, he wound up getting into a fight, and that got Yasiel Puig suspended. So it was a little bit of an addition by subtraction. The Reds just have not gotten much going in regards to their bats. I will say that both these bullpens, they're not necessarily overwhelming, but they're better than a lot of these bullpens I've seen in the big so far. I am right now in this game with the Marlins at a plus price. I just feel like the value is there with Jose Urania, and I also took this game under.
6 out of the 9 batters tonight for Cincinnati are hitting under 200.
Hey.
It's not very good. It's that simple. You have to expect Urania. Maybe the road will be a kind spot for him this year. He did have a no decision last year against the Reds in limited outing. So, I agree with you. I think this price is just too high. Reds have done nothing to really impress. A couple other ones here. We're not going to go over every game. Seattle, Kansas City. Seattle's been on fire. In fact, Greg, today I grabbed a little piece of Seattle, 60-1 to win the World Series.
I like it.
Yeah, not a bad shot there. You look at 8.17 runs a game. Last 3 games, guys, 11.3 runs a game for this Mariner team. Marco Gonzalez has been solid for them. But I got to tell you, Greg, I don't know about you, but in baseball, I'm a little bit more frequented as far as looking a bit more at the numbers. Again, I'm using common sense here. I'm not strictly betting numbers. I think that's a moronic way to just bet games. But you got to look and say, does it make sense? This is a big move back on the Royals. I mean, you look at the Mariners open 130 with Junis pitching. They're now a 112 favorite at Pinnacle. This is sharp split written all over it. Sharps are on Kansas City. I think they're kind of just thinking, well, you're going to lose 70 games this year, 60 games this year. This might just be one of them. Junis hasn't been terrible. I kind of see the writing on the wall here with this one, Greg, or am I just kind of overthinking things with the Mariners Royals?
I took the Mariners on the run line when it was minus a run and a half, and I was able to get a nice plus price. The Mariners have just been absolutely raking. Daniel Vogelbach is now hitting home runs for this team. I mean, When you've got Vogelbach hitting 3 home runs in 2 games, it's insane. I know that Jay Bruce hasn't been hitting for average, but he's got 5 home runs. Tim Beckham, a big liability out there in the field. He's hitting home runs. Ryan Healy had 25 home runs last year. Edwin Encarnacion is getting into the act. I mean, the list goes on and on. Mitch Haniger. This is an absolutely sensational Mariners offense right now. I know that they've got a couple guys on the disabled list. Their new reliever, I'm thinking Hunter Strickland, he is currently on the injured list. He's not going to be back for a very long time. So you got to think that runs are going to be aplenty with the Mariners all year long. This is the spot where I took Mariners run line in the over. This is just, I have no idea why money's coming in on the Kansas City Royals.
Sometimes money's just wrong, as you said. I know last year, sharp bettors.
I was about to say, last year, sharps in baseball were absolutely awful.
Yeah, they loved Homer Bailey last year, which was very odd. Minnesota, New York Mets. I saw this Minnesota team a few times. Where I'm, obviously the Phillies are on where I'm at, and I watched a lot of this Minnesota team over the weekend. This group just isn't very good from an offensive perspective. Just not a ton of pop in this lineup. They have a couple guys tonight that you kind of get interested in, but you don't really get interested in them against Jacob deGrom. deGrom is I think he's on a 26-inning scoreless streak. He's been fantastic. I don't know what else to say. I mean, 26 straight quality starts for him. I mean, just terrific. I mean, he's as good as it gets. You had a total here at 6.5. I mean, Greg, does this kind of open your eyes and say, maybe this is just like a 4-1 type of game? I get a feeling it's low scoring, but I get the feeling also, though, Mets are going to do some scoring tonight. They hit some home runs over the weekend. Kyle Gibson's not been good. He was good last year for them at 18 quality starts, but I mean, he unraveled the other night against the Kansas City Royals. I mean, does this have a kind of a 4-1 feeling to you?
I actually took this total over, and I do think that Jacob deGrom probably gives up only 1 run in 6 or 7 innings. I think he's going to be sensational in this game, but here's something that we also both know. The Mets bullpen, aside from Edwin Diaz, not good. When you bring in like Gesellman and company, they just can't hold it down because I remember the last start that Jacob deGrom had. He went up against the Miami Marlins, goes 7 innings, 14 strikeouts. He hits a home run himself. In the 9th inning, the Mets give up 7 runs. You just can't bet on this bullpen right now to hold an under. That is why I'm on the over in this game. I do think that Gibson going to be able to give up a couple runs himself. Something else we can both agree with. The Mets have been raking. Pete Alonso, bringing him up to the majors has been sensational. Robinson Cano hasn't necessarily been getting going, but the other guys in this lineup are really starting to hit. So I do think that we're going to see quite a few runs in this game. This is one in which I would have to take either the Mets run line or you'd have to take the plus price with the Twins. I just don't think that you can lay more than $2 on the money line with the New York Mets in this spot. So you have to try to mitigate that juice as much as possible. But this is one in which I did take the over just because of the bullpen.
Yeah, that 2 through 6 for the Mets with Alonso, Conforto, Cano, Davis, and McNeil. I mean, outside of Cano, you got to figure he'll get it going, but everyone else has been terrific. I mean, McNeil hitting 409, Conforto 351. He's got a couple dingers as well. Yeah, Mets are playing good baseball outside of the inability of the bullpen, but that's always really seemingly been a problem. It's that bridge to the closer that's just been the problem. Diaz is good, but, it's kind of that middle relief, which for most teams is always an issue. We'll do 1 or 2 more here, Greg. New York Yankees and the Houston Astros. Houston gets a big win last night. Garrett Cole tonight against Jonathan Loaisiga. Obviously, we know what's going on with the Yankees. Plenty of injuries right now. Aaron Judge has never faced Aaron Judge. Garrett Cole has. So you obviously have a team in Houston that's starting to score some runs. They're playing well. I think they have 19 runs over the last 3 games. But you look at this game, Greg. I mean, kind of a big number, especially when you can get the Yankees at this kind of price. What do you like here? You like anything?
I actually did take the Yankees here. I know that the bullpen obviously gave it up yesterday. You had a couple guys come in. Holder was not able to hold it down. He did not live up to his last name. But with Loaisiga, he actually did look good in his first start of the regular season. He wasn't necessarily bad last year. It's not a guy that's necessarily going to light the world on fire. With the Astros, they've been streaky. They seem to be getting the bats going. They were able to do so in the last couple innings. But I do feel like there's a little bit of a hot and cold feel with this team. And Garrett Cole actually got a little bit touched up in his first couple starts of the year as well. Been doing a great job of being able to get some Ks. And I remember that start against the Tampa Bay Rays, he just did not get a lot of defensive support. I know that he gave up a couple unearned runs in that game. But with the New York Yankees, despite the fact that they're so banged up with Miguel Andujar out, Giancarlo Stanton is out, Troy Tulowitzki, well, it's no surprise that he's injured once again, Didi Gregorius and company, they're still finding a way to generate offense. Luke Voigt isn't hitting for average, but he's hitting for power. Out there in the middle of the lineup, you've got DJ LeMahieu and Clint Frazier, who are both hitting above 400 so far this year. I've been really intrigued by them. And I do think that there is value with the plus price of the Yankees.
Yeah, another plus price I have my eye on is the Washington Nationals tonight. Look, anytime I can get Steven Strasburg, particularly in the first five, I have some interest. Obviously, this Phillies team playing great baseball, but Aaron Nola's, you're starting to hear some rumblings around here, which are crazy, but that's what you hear in Philadelphia. You have one or two bad starts, and people want your head at this point. But look, Steven Strasburg's terrific. 8 hits or fewer in his past 53 starts. That's pretty unbelievable. I like their lineup just fine. I have no issue, but I do want to avoid that bullpen. So I'm interested in clamoring, maybe taking a shot with that first 5 of Nationals here. Nola's not been great. Could he turn it around tonight for sure? But you look at some of these Nats, some decent numbers against Nola. Ryan Zimmerman's been good against him. Rendon, who's been on fire, he's been good. So there's a couple guys that hit him decently well. I kind of like a plus price here on the Nats in the first 5.
Yeah, I think that if you're going to play the Nats, you have to go first 5 just because the bullpen has an ERA near 10 right now. They have just been absolutely awful. I wound up taking Phillies for the game, but if I had to play this first 5, I'd probably play it a little bit different. Aaron Nola hasn't been his same self the first couple starts. I think he's going to be able to pick it up. He was absolutely sensational last year. I think that he's going to be due for a little bit of a bounce back, but I think that with all the Phillies bats, they might be able to win a slugfest with the Nationals. This is a total I just had to look over with just because with the Phillies, you've got so many guys. Andrew McCutchen, he hasn't necessarily gotten it going too much, but the guy that has, Bryce Harper, he has been sensational. Rhys Hoskins went deep both in the 6th and 8th inning yesterday. It was the difference in the game for that squad. Heck, even Maikel Franco at the bottom of the lineup has been able to produce for the Phillies. You got to only imagine if Sean Kingery and company can be able to get going. Cesar Hernandez. There's just so many weapons for this Phillies lineup. I do think that a first 5 play with the Nationals has some value, but if you're looking for the game, I would look at the Phillies just because that bullpen is so bad.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. For me, it's all about first 5 with the Nats. I've learned kind of back into last year. I'm not really, I'm not sure what's going on there, to be honest. They haven't really ever been able to figure that bullpen out. Greg, any other games I know you bet pretty much all of them, but any other games that you kind of have a bigger eye on than another?
A's run line. I just think that they're due for a bounce back after getting slaughtered by the Baltimore Orioles yesterday, who, by the way, Chris Davis now 0 for 49 for the year, ladies and gentlemen.
Actually, 0 for 50.
0 for 50.
Yeah, his final at bat was a strikeout last night. Listen, Greg, I'm glad you brought that up. I've actually been in the corner. I've talked about Chris Davis for months now. I've been at the kind of the guy that's led the party of how is Chris Davis a meaningful player in the MLB, but I'm starting to get to the point with Chris Davis where I do feel bad for him a bit. I got to be honest. I know he makes $23 million a year, and he's going to be paid till he's in his 50s. But again, he's an athlete. He worked harder than a lot of us have, and he's a talented individual. But Greg, I think at some point we have to remember we're in a business of statistics. We got to do well, or people won't follow us. I remember the streak I had at the beginning of the basketball season where I could have been in a boat, Greg, and someone said, throw that ball into the water, and I would have somehow missed. I've seen it. I've been there. You've been there. I'm starting to feel bad for Chris Davis at this point. I know he goes home and probably has a beautiful marble bathroom and a beautiful wife and a great life. And at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter because they're not winning games anyway. But when you get to that point, you start to kind of overthink things. And Chris Davis made contact last night. He's just hitting it right at people. I know this might sound crazy because I am a guy that has led the crusade against Chris Davis, but I'm getting to the point now where I do feel a bit bad about it. Again, I don't have that level of stature, but I have to understand it's probably like anything. It gets old. You have to wonder, will you ever get out of the negativity? But yeah, 0 for 50 is quite unbelievable.
Oh, yeah, it certainly is. And that's part of the reason why I'm on the A's on the run line in this game, just because you've got Means going on the mound for the Orioles. He looked good in his first start, but I just have some serious questions with the Orioles. They just remind me of sort of a beer league softball team, for lack of a better term, because you got guys like Trey Boom Boom Mancini that are able to hit home runs. Jonathan Villar is able to get on base. But the starters don't really lend themselves to being too good. Andrew Cashburner Casher actually pulled off a win yesterday, but once you get into the guys like Jacob Yacobonis and company, you know that the runs are just going to be coming left and right. And Brett Anderson, though he's not a guy that has electric stuff, has actually been a good pitcher for the A's. So I do think that they're going to be able to get a very convincing win in this one.
Yeah, every time Baltimore plays, it's never a bad thing to bet against them. Greg, before we let you go, I think we had a question for you. I want to ask you, what's Greg's best dish on the George Foreman grill?
My best dish on the Foreman grill. I always go with like some grilled chicken, or sometimes I'll put like some salmon inside of like the tin foil. I'll put it on the grill, and then I'll make up some steamed vegetables and everything like that. Very delicious.
Sounds great. Actually, sounds quite refreshing. Greg, also before we let you go, we got the Masters this week. I don't know if you are a golf guy. I know for me, I've over the last year or so really gotten into betting on golf. I think it's fun. Do you bet on golf or no?
I wouldn't consider myself the Mona Lisa Vito of golf betting or anything like that, but I do think that Xander Schauffele is a guy that's really been ascending the past couple months. At the South Point, I saw his futures between 30 to 35 to 1. I think that he might be worth a little bit of a shot. I just still feel like you can't bet on Tiger Woods to win the whole thing. Maybe there's going to be a couple matchup props that might be calling your name, because year after year, Tiger Woods, no matter what shape he's in, he always seems to do pretty well at the Masters. He just hasn't busted through in so long, so I can't bet him to win it outright. But I do think that there might be some value on Tiger, maybe finishing in the top 10, top 15, something like that.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to take him seriously as far as winning. I'm sure you kind of just mentioned it, but I mean you look at the odds. I mean you're not getting good prices on Tiger Woods.
No.
You're just not. One quickly, I like Matazama. I'm starting to like him a little bit. I'm starting to kind of fall into that. But Greg, good stuff, man. Always a good talk to you. We will talk to you again, I'm sure, next week at some point. I think I'm going to be doing some stuff with you later in the week with some NFL draft stuff. Do you get into the props, Greg? Do you do those or?
I do a little bit with the NFL draft. The NBA draft is really where I reign supreme, though. I always love being able to check that stuff out because we've seen these guys more than anyone else. I mean, there's a couple international guys that you need to brush up on, but let's face it, with the international guys, you check out a couple YouTube videos, you read a couple scouting reports, and then boom, there's your work. Fran Fraschilla almost does it all for us, I will be honest here. So that's something I'm certainly going to do.
Yeah, NBA draft obviously much easier. There's only 2 rounds. NFL draft, you got, a lot of rounds. So good stuff, Greg. Very happy to have you on as always. Let us know where they can find you. If nobody knows who you are, someone doesn't know who you are, where can we find you at?
You can find me on Twitter at @unit_81. Right now I'm running a trio podcast, College Hoops Overtime Betting. Obviously, regular season's over, but I'm going to be continuing this podcast weekly, talking about the futures, moves, transfers, everything like that. Jeff, you've been a tremendous support on that. And then we started a new daily podcast called MLB Overtime Betting. I give you a side and total of every game on the baseball betting board. Take a look back at some of the results, some of the trends that are hot, some of the trends that are cold, teams that are doing well with overs and unders and everything like that. And then I also do That's Goal with Steve Heitner. That's a podcast that drops every Monday through Friday. We talk a little sports betting, general sports news, a little entertainment, little nightlife, everything like that. And you can find all those podcasts on Apple iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, wherever you get your podcasts. And then once again, you can find everything on my Twitter page as well at @unit_81.
Very good, Greg. Thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you again very soon.
Jeff, always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you.
See ya, pal. Take it easy. Greg Peterson joining us live from Las Vegas. Greg looked like he maybe was just coming in from a run or something like that. Yes, there you go. As we see him exit, maybe I should take some fucking notes from him. I actually was out for about a half hour earlier, just take a nice little walk around Very nice day around here in Pennsylvania. Very nice day. A couple of questions here, comments. Feel free to send any in that you might have. I am through one round of the NFL draft. Very excited about that. Jeff needs to brush up on his golfer pronunciations. I know he is new to the game. LOL. Okay. Well, I mean, I'm not sure what you mean. What did you have an issue with the way I said Hideki Matsuzama? I mean, I don't think I butchered that too badly. Brant Snedeker, Fred Couples, Tony Finau, Louis Oosthuizen, Gary Woodland, Mark Leishman, Trevor Immelman, Martin Kamer. What do I have to work on? I'm not really sure what you mean. Whatever. Okay. I'm sure I could give you a lot of names in my language that you couldn't pronounce. So, good luck. By the way, tonight, guys, I'm gonna do the new Periscope tonight. I'm gonna do it. It's gonna be fun. Supposedly, there's a new Periscope app where listeners can join your show. So that's going to be fun. I have a feeling. So I want all of you to fucking join me on that, and we can fucking chat. That'll be a lot funner than normal. Do I have any baseball plays for you? My premium plays get going today, and I will have one tonight. If you're interested in joining me for the season, it's very cheap monthly. BMOC Sports at gmail.com. During that $59.99, you'll get some NBA playoffs. You get all my NFL draft props. You'll get my draft orders. You'll get my all my NBA future plays and all that kind of thing. So if you have any interest in joining me, you can find me at bmocsports at gmail.com. Jeff, what is your opinion on Prez versus MyBookie? I talked about that earlier in the show. It's none of my business. It's kind of like if you got into an argument with your local pizza delivery guy after your pizza wasn't delivered on time, and I was down the street and I ordered from the same pizza guy and he delivered mine on time and it was very good. It has nothing to do with me. I've never had a bad experience with MyBookie. And again, they've always been very good to me. And if you want to join MyBookie, I would highly recommend using my promo code BMOC. Again, I think sometimes when you promote something, it's about your experience with them. I don't know the story there. From what I gathered, it looks like Dave wanted to put a big bet in. He wasn't able to do it. MyBookie said that they would do it. Maybe he didn't see that they said that they would do it, and then they called him out. I'm not someone that would call him out for that kind of thing. I don't really understand that thought process, but again, they've always been fine to me. So, and again, when you do a show like mine or other shows, all of us have sponsors. So, yeah, that's something you would have to take up with them or with him. Shout out Texas Tech. They're still my team. Yeah, well, good. I'm glad they are. You can't not still like your team. Baseball is all about what you've done for me lately when it comes to pitchers. Yeah, 100% right. 100% right. Shaquille Bell, thanks for watching. George Cruz, thanks for watching. Adam Lastman, thanks for watching. All of you guys, thanks for watching. Any questions, feel free to send them in. Obviously, we're going to have a lot smaller crowd here, and that's really all around media. When you're doing sports betting, there's a busy time, and it's for football and basketball. It's between September and April. Once basketball ends, a lot of people go into a hibernation mode. So I appreciate all of you guys that are joining me here every day. It's always fun. What we'll do here on each show is we'll give out some plays of the day for the show. When is the Masters show? No, it's not going to be live. I'm going to record it tonight, actually, with my golf guy, so you can look out for that. It'll be out probably tomorrow. Tonight, though, I'm actually going to go to the NBA with a free pick. I'm going to take the Sixers tonight in the NBA against the Miami Heat. I saw just a terrific video from the Miami Heat about Dwayne Wade. And look, no one will doubt Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade is terrific. He's a consummate professional, and he's one of the great ambassadors of the NBA. He's been nothing but professional his entire career, and I value what he's done for the NBA. That's no reason to think, though, that I can't bet against him tonight. This Sixer team, I'm aware, is without Joel Embiid and J.J. Redick. However, we still have Jimmy Butler. We still have Tobias Harris. We still have guys that can score the basketball. And I'm quite fine with tonight grabbing the 6 points here. We have seen a big move up with the Miami Heat. People feel that Dwayne Wade, just because he's got his last game tonight, that they're just going to step out of the way and let them win the game. Look, if you like the Miami Heat, I would take them first half or first quarter or something like that. At the end of the day, I am a fan of betting on teams without their best players. A lot of the time, the markets overreact. I think this is a major overreaction, and I'm going to grab the 6 points with the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. Wouldn't surprise me if they win the game outright. At the end of the day, this is a spot where I think as a bettor, I really look towards. Unfortunately, I don't think Dwayne Wade's worth 3 points. I'm just sorry. Does Joel Embiid, is he maybe worth them? Sure. It doesn't. I couldn't care less that it's Dwayne Wade's last game. That doesn't mean that. That doesn't mean that the Sixers are just going to get out of the way and say, "Okay, go ahead and win." What are the Sixers playing for? Isn't their seeding locked? Okay, nothing. But they're NBA players, and their job is to play basketball. So I'll take the 6 points. Again, if you don't want to, that's fine. But that's my thought tonight. Am I more excited to see a young player in the MLB this season more than Vladimir Guerrero Jr.? No, I definitely am excited to see Vladimir Guerrero Jr. He looks to be the real deal. What's my take on the Cardinals and the Dodgers? I didn't really have a big feel in that game. I actually had the Cardinals last night, gave it out on this show. They ended up getting the job done. I'm not a big Dakota Hudson guy. Probably lean towards Cardinals first five or Dodgers first five, but didn't have a big feel in that game. Too big of a price for me. All right, guys, that'll be it for tonight. We've been on for about 50 minutes. Thanks to Greg Peterson for joining us today. Thanks to him, as always. Very kind of him to come on generally once a week. And that's that. We'll wrap it up. You all have a great night. We'll probably be on Periscope later. We'll try the new Periscope out, see how fun that is. Supposedly you can people can call in. So that's quite interesting. We'll have to see what that's all about. Everyone have a great night. Thanks for joining me. I'll be back here tomorrow. Ski Profit's going to join us tomorrow night. So make sure you join the show. We have some NBA stuff to go over. We have a big card. So make sure you join us for that. Ski Profit tomorrow night here on the show. Everyone have a great night. I'm the Big Man on Campus. Make sure you subscribe if you're new around here. And always follow me on Twitter @JeffNadu. Have a great night. Bye-bye.